fans, it's time once again for Overlooked Black Metal Classics. My wheelhouse. This video is about stuff that I am really into. We're going back to 97. What a year it was. Yeah, so we're gonna get back into the 4 Black Metal Classics. Overlooked Black Metal Classics. You all know the classics. And like, I don't know, I kind of feel like a lot of you will know about these, but hopefully watching me be evangelical about these releases will remind you to revisit them, because I bet it's been a while. But man, these are albums that my taste is based upon a foundation that is indicative of the time when I got into metal. And I think that those albums and these albums are so ingrained in just my music taste that I know them front to back, note to note, by heart, like no other records. There's been so many albums that have come out since then that have been wonderful and amazing, brutal, memorable, whatnot, but when I put this on, you know, I know every note by heart. It's weird. And I don't know if it's just because I was so young when I first started listening to these, or if I've just spent so much time listening to them, or what, but, you know, it doesn't matter. But these are some records that are really good and important to me. We're going to start off with the one that we're jamming in the background here, Thy Primordials, where only the seasons mark the paths of time, and life remains eternal. The longest album titles there ever was. The artwork on this is so funny. It's just purple and blue all over the place. So these guys are from Sweden. This came out in 97. It's a really memorable, riffy, fast, speedy, energetic, just fucking blitzkrieg kind of melodicism to it. I think the recording quality and the sound quality, I've never heard of this studio, and in fact I did some research and I couldn't find any other albums that were recorded in this studio, so I don't know, the drums just sound huge and bombastic and just thunderous. The fucking fills just echo throughout eternity. The drummer in this band is Morth, or Jukka Peterson, who also played on Dawn's Slaughter Son. These guys play in a lot of other bands of note. I always forget that kind of shit, but Thy Primordial is so good. There's a lot of just galloping kind of stuff. There's just a lot of different variety that they bring to the table for that time period. There wasn't a lot of I guess varieties in black metal going on in 1997 or so, but I feel like at that time everybody had just kind of gotten from death metal into black metal and just wanted to take what was there for them to pick up in like 94, 95 and just give it some real energy and some more extremity, and I think that really says a lot about all of these records here in that time period. So check out Where Only the Seasons Mark the Paths of Time. This technically is their second record in their discography. If you look it up, you'll see that Under Ishko Tromana came out after this one, but it's because there were some delays in releasing it. It was supposed to come out back in like 95, 96, but this wound up coming out first. But so, I mean, for a debut, it sounds like a band who've been really well honed and crafted for their style, but it's because it's not their debut. It's actually their second record. And their first one, it has some really stinky, shitty parts to it, some missteps, but also some really good, promising kind of things. I've got all these guys' records, but this was just re-released on vinyl, I think, last year. So I think you should be able to pick it up pretty cheap. It was pretty limited too, so if you're kind of hemming and hawing about it, go ahead and do it. I think it's like 200 or 300 copies or so. I'm kind of thinking about getting myself a copy. But next, this also came out in 97, But we're going to Australia for this one. Lord Kaos, Thorns of Impurity. I don't think a lot of people will know about this band, but man, it's worth a revisit if you're so inclined. But it's just, so these guys apparently enjoyed a fairly long career, 6 or 7 years, back or before this came out. Played a lot of live shows and whatnot with a drummer, but for some reason couldn't get their shit together at the last minute with a drummer. So this has a drum machine on it, and like, if drum machines kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth, this would really do it. This is so drum machiney. It honestly kind of reminds me of Limphonic Art sometimes. But I guess if you were to take away some of that kind of atmospheric, more like heady, repetitive kind of operatic and symphonic kind of element, here with Lord Kaos's Thorns of Impurity, it's more brutality. It sounds Australian because of that. Australian bands tend to have this just like alcohol fueled, just absolute ferocious, vicious kind of style to them. And so their approach to kind of this period's black metal, which is melodic sometimes and totally overt keyboards going all over the place, all over it, tastefully done, but it is very, very prevalent all over the place. But they bring this kind of vicious, cruel kind of style to it. It makes it really, really cool. The vocals on this are super of note. The vocals, like, I just kind of feel like putting this on recently, again, just reminded me, like, I haven't heard a vocalist that just sounded like they were fucking turning their body inside out, just, you know, just blasting blood at the fucking heavens. It sounds so fucking vicious and raw. I guess raw, don't let that deter you. It isn't very raw. It's a very direct sounding album. There's not a lot of whole nuance to the way this was recorded. It just sounds like your standard fucking brutal guitars and vocals. And the drums, though, they're just fucking relentless. And again, kind of like that Primordial, I feel like these guys were kind of picking up what they had learned about black metal, but kind of have this emphasis on brutality and speed and kind of kicking it up a notch for the time with kind of a death metal kind of approach. There's riffs that are kind of big and thematic at times, but then they'll kind of twist into something that's a little bit more kind of riffy, kind of more like deicide-y kind of stuff. It's really unique. I recommend checking out Lord Kaos, Thorns of Impurity, and yeah, I have no hesitation calling this a classic. For what it's worth, this is where Astenu, who joined Dimmu Borgir, this is where he came from. He played guitar on this. He played in Dimmu Borgir for maybe an album or two, maybe 3. So, yeah, I don't know, that's of note. One thing I forgot to mention, this is kind of, I guess, worth mentioning, with that Primordial, it came out on Pulverized Records, and the first release that came out on Pulverized was the debut EP from Amon Amarth, and then this one came out, and then the third release from Pulverized out of Singapore? Yeah, Singapore, was Therian Practice's Third Eye Function, which we'll get into, I think, in a video soon. I've been really kind of itching to listen to that one again. So next one I wanted to feature was Nord from Setherial. I really hope a lot of you guys should know about this record, but man, I swear this is not a Becketh Nexamu album. This is 1996's Nord by Setherial. So, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people would know Setherial as being just kind of like the brutal, speedy, Swedish black metal band. But I kind of don't really like anything else after Lords of the Night Realm. And a lot of people even, I think, consider Lords of the Night Realm kind of a piece of shit. I would fight you on that. But this one, I think, is just undeniably awesome. Just fucking impeccable. Really has a lot of elements of early Emperor going on. There's, you know, orchestral, symphonic kind of keyboards. It sounds exactly like the album cover is. You know, it sounds like it's echoing throughout the forested mountains of Scandinavia. So this came out on Napalm Records in '96. You know, back when Napalm had just nothing but fucking perfect releases coming out day after day after day. So, I never noticed that the lyrics on this were upside down. This was reissued maybe once or twice on vinyl, but they didn't use this album cover, and I fucking don't understand. I feel like this is one of the most iconic album covers of the 90s, and it just kind of makes me think, like, are people not aware or hip to this album and how fucking brilliant it is? It's super well produced. It sounds absolutely perfect. It's speedy and vicious, of course, but the riffs are just amazing, memorable. Yes, there's synthesizer really all over it. But this is this is some evidence, I think, that Peter Tägtgren recorded this in Abyss Studios and used to do a really great job at recording bands. And so, I don't know, I look back at it fondly because of that. And that's kind of another one of the reasons that, like, that whole topic is like a thorn in my side, because albums like this sound fucking great. Nord by Setherial, get into it. It rules. So, yeah, when I was getting into black metal in 96, 97 or so, there were just a real handful of albums that I came back to over and over and over again. It might have been because I was broke. I guess, I don't know, I just returned to the same ones for, like, I don't know, maybe a year or so in the very, very, very beginning. I guess that was kind of maybe my transitional period from, like, the more death metal-y kind of stuff into black metal. But this was something that I listened to back then relentlessly. Swordmaster's Wrath of Time. Really the only thing wrong with this thing is that it is not a full length. I would have enjoyed a full length record from these guys so much. Full Moon Records originally released this. Full Moon Records does not do a good job of vinyl. This is a really flimsy jacket. It's super glossy, so it gets all scuffed up. And I bought this at a shitty record store not too long ago. No insert, no nothing really, just bare bones. But this is just such a fantastic release. You'll probably be somewhat familiar with this. Look at that piece of shit. Full Moon Records had no business releasing vinyl back in the day. You'll probably remember I used a song from this record on the intro to a lot of my videos for quite a while. I had a lot of people saying, "What is that? I gotta check that out." I stopped using it just because I got sick of it, but man, this is so good. So, what's it like? This is Swedish black metal, just very standard Swedish black metal. And the riff craft is just really, really on point, because I think, this is Emil Nordtveit sings on it. I thought he played guitar, now that I think about it, but, so this is Emil Nordtveit, brother of John. I could have swore that he wrote the riffs on it, but it's been a long time since I actually thought about this band, so I am wrong. But it does sound Dissection-ish. The riffs are just so good, and as you know, you probably heard it. You've probably heard just how killer it is. I also really enjoy the drums. This is Inferno, also known as Tobias Kellgren, who played in Dissection after Ole Ullman left. And he also has played in a couple of other bands. I'm never going to think of it until after this is over with. Anyways, killer melodic. It's just a little EP, Swedish black metal. Yeah, it's just real quick kind of listen, but man, it is so good and memorable and catchy. It's just one of those records that's just in there and will never go away. It's one of those even records where I can just sing along the words to it too. Phenomenal release. But that's going to do it for today. I appreciate you checking out these records. It's more important to me than watching me babble. So please give yourself a favor and listen to Lord Kaos, not Lords of Chaos. Setherial's Nord. And where only the seasons mark the path of time unless it remains eternal by thy Primordial. Thank you.